every instinct says, get the hell out of that kangaroo court and let it sink. But I know that would be extremely difficult and not the thing to do. But it has occurred to me that the United States, the people, I just know are, first of all, they don't like the UN to begin with.
That's right.
And it seemed to me that if you brought Mr. Bush back to Washington to let them sweat for about 24 hours as to what you were thinking of, and then if you went on television to the people of the United States and said that Mr. Bush was going back to the UN to participate in debate and discussion, to present our views and so forth, but he would not participate in any votes. The United States would not vote and would not be bound by the votes of the UN. Because it is a debating society. You don't have to say that, but it is a debating society, and so we'd be there, our presence would be there, but we would just not participate in their votes. I think it would put those bums in the perspective they belong.
It sure would. Well, let me get some thought to the whole thing. It's a tough one, as you're well aware. We've got some fish to fry on India, Pakistan. We're trying to go to war there, and the UN may have to play some damn role there. Because we don't want to get involved, let me say, in that miserable place. We're going to remember all of our friends that stood with us on this. Incidentally, among whom were the Japanese.
Yeah,
they were great. Oh, the Japanese were great. They
were great.
And
there.
I'm telling you, I had it was a hard night here. Hard night here. We were on the phone up to the last minute.
I can't hear you at all. I can't hear Alyona. She's talking to me, but I can't hear her. I can't hear her. Welcome to the Postgame patrons. Welcome, new patrons.
You never warn me when we're starting. I'm always talking about like
the music,
martinis and cake.
I know, but the music is happening, and you're here. Like, that's the music. I go, all right, let's get started. Matt puts on the music, and she's like, anyways, I don't know. It's like, because I feel like I like carrot cake, but they don't like carrot. And then she's like, you didn't tell me. I'm like, what? What do you want? You want a flashcard?
I was being a millennial and just like really into my phone and not really paying
You were
attention.
not. You were being a hybrid of millennial and Subway person because you were on your phone and you were talking to yourself. You're just like, yeah, no, tell them no. Fuck that.
All kinds of sad things. Can I just tell you about I had
please.
one of those really sad dinners today where like I was in a rush because I was coming from somewhere else and I didn't get here. I had like 20 minutes to eat. So I like ran into like a Sweet Green and I was like one of those people like sitting by themselves, like scarfing down a salad really quick. And I was like, God, this is just, it's just like depressing. I'm not sad for myself, but it was just like, it was me, but like 30 other people doing the exact same thing. And that's what made me sad.
It is kind of weird.
I was like,
Those
I feel like I should
situations are
talk to
very
this
weird.
guy at the table next to me,
Yeah,
but we're all
people
just looking down at our phones, scarfing down these salads.
We're alienated from each other. You know, it's funny though, because I will admit, like, so I'm doubly hypocrite because I talk all that shit. Like, we should reach out to each other. And, like, I'm fucking pretty sociable. Like, I, go out a lot and everything. But whenever I'm in that situation and somebody actually does start to try to engage me, I'm like, who the fuck are you? Like, why? I totally just shut down.
Oh, see.
I'm like...
I'm a total sucker.
I'm trying to eat salad and I don't know you.
I feel too guilty to be mean to people. And so my friends have always made fun of me because this is like, I get myself into weird situations because I'm too nice in those moments. And then you never know. It might take you to some weird spots. But like the other week, some guy, I was standing on the subway platform with my wireless earbuds in that are like kind of big. Obviously
they are
listening
big. I've
to
seen
something.
Them. Alyona comes in ready.
And he walks up to me and is like clearly talking to me. I can't hear him. So I take them out. I'm like, oh, sorry. I'm listening to a book.
Right.
Trying to make it obvious. I'm listening to something. And he's like, oh, cool. I just moved into the neighborhood. And like, I don't know. We have a similar aesthetic.
Fuck you.
I'm like, what? Because we're both wearing black?
You.
Like, welcome to New York.
Fuck you. That guy pisses me off.
I was annoyed because I wanted to listen to my book and then I had to get on the train with him.
I'm annoyed because that's lame
and he
as
kept talking.
fuck. He's
I agree.
bad for the man brand. That's just pathetic. We have a similar
I tried to drop like my fiance and I live, like
my fiance also have a similar aesthetic. If I was going to cheat on my fiance, it wouldn't be with you.
Do you want to hear the craziest thing though?
You. Yeah.
So I was like, fuck my life. I'm going to have to spend an hour talking to this guy on the train. Then I got a phone call because we were still above ground.
Perfect.
And then some Australian guy literally walks up to the dude and is like, hi, sorry, I was just listening in, but I heard you're new in town. And then just talked to the guy for the entire hour.
So awesome. He got owned. Total karma.
And the two of them just chatted up for like an hour.
I love it.
I was grateful to the Australian guy, but I was also like, what? On what planet does that happen?
I love it. I love it. I hope that guy's trip was ruined. That is the most, because I don't have a problem. Like, I think it's actually, if people do it tastefully, I'm all for like public engagement, trying to meet people wherever. I have no problem with that. But that is just like if it's done tastefully. But that was just a similar aesthetic.
It was just lame. It was just really lame.
That is so lame.
It's like we both have like black leather boots on.
Yeah.
Cool, bro.
I want to send that guy to North Korea. Just like shoot him out of a rocket. It's just so pathetic. That's the type of shit that irritates me. I just similar aesthetic. It's such a he watched like a fucking Richard Gere movie. He's just like, want to have lunch? Everybody has to eat. Like, really fuck bad. You.
Really bad.
Come back on the line, callers. I'll stop dissing this guy in a minute. 646-257-3920. 646-257-3920. I have to go on my phone to get our first questions from the Discord. And the first question is, this is interesting. Which political or conscious rapper, quote unquote conscious rapper, do you find the most cheesy or grating despite their good message? And second, how could you convince someone, this is definitely for me, to keep giving reggae a try if everyone they try, if every time they try, they get too annoyed by the bass sound of reggae? Okay, I've tried to do my part, I'm out. If
you don't like the bass, you're like missing the point.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I think that's pretty. I think you and I might just share a different aesthetic.
Oh my gosh.
I hate all conscious rappers. I like rap that it's about dealing drugs and fucking women and killing people.
Wow.
I don't like conscious rap music. I mean, I like rap music that has the capacity. Like, I think Nas is the perfect fusion of can go in any direction. And I guess there's probably some really good rap that people call conscious, like Tribe Called Quest, but I wouldn't consider that to be. But people who are specifically branded as conscious, they all suck.
Yeah, that's a bad brand to have. Well, to me, what immediately came to mind when you said cheesy was Macklemore.
Oh, but is he conscious?
Well, but I think he tries to be. All of his songs are about accepting people and that. Right. I don't even remember any of them at the moment, what the songs are.
No, it's called
or
Accepting
what they sound
People. That was it. That was his shit.
But I know that I feel like he does try to be conscious, and it's just so cheesy because it's Macklemore that does it. And then just one more point is, have you seen recently Common is just has been just doing a bunch of commercials?
Common's become, he is a self-made bitch made. Yes, I have.
But these
seen
days
it.
he's just like hawking random products, and it's
Yeah,
weird to
Common
me.
actually would be, you know what, like
Conscious
that would
rapper.
be my kind of, because especially because he's not, you can't even, he's not even like a bad or talentless rapper per se, but between all of the like the endless product shilling like you're talking about, and the fact that he's just like my queen, jazz bass, like it's just shut up.
He went
Common.
from being like everyone loved Common to, I feel like that really.
I never
falling on
really
the-
loved Common because, as I say, I like music that promotes violence and promiscuous sex and drug use. But no, I think Common would be because all the other ones, whether it's Macklemore or whoever, I just don't like. And I guess some of the other ones, like a guy like Talib Kweli, I would say I would want to give more credit than just being a conscious rapper. Although I think Talib in some ways is a little overrated in some of his recent stuff, but he's good. He's good. So I can't put him in that slot. Matt?
Yeah.
I was just gonna say Macklemore knows he's on thin ice about a lot of things. So
Yeah.
he's
Is he
on
even
his
still
best
around?
behavior. I don't know.
I thought he was gone. I actually, I hated though when he won that Grammy and he put on like Instagram or something like to Kendrick Lamar, like it should have been you. I thought that was some of the most like whiny, like the reality, like he's an artist, he has records. He should have been the one person on the planet that thought his win was justified. Like he should have been the only person to be like, yep, I won, fuck you.
Yeah.
But instead he was all trying to like
Trying
curry
too
favor
hard.
with
Trying too hard. That's what
trying-
it's called.
Yeah. Could you imagine anything more pathetic? You win a Grammy, like that's your career. That's what you chose. Okay, like yes, everybody else knows that Kendrick's a completely different class of performer than you, but like you should. I mean, you fucking message him. Pathetic. I don't know what to tell you about the reggae. I just don't. I like all of it. I like dancehall. Reggae is actually one of the only media. Like I like conscious reggae too. I don't just like the kill people reggae. I do like the kill people reggae, but I think Chronix. I think his albums have been amazing. Bob Marley is actually good. Like that might be like overdone,
And
but he
conscious.
is actually good. But not conscious in the sense that we use it because he actually was risking getting shot.
Yeah. Well, yes.
And he
good
did.
point.
So
I really like reggae. I'm not going to pretend like I'm well versed in it, but when I listen to it, I really like it.
you see Santa Cruz girl. Respect.
Yeah, I went to quite a few reggae concerts.
I'm sure
at
you
UC
did.
Santa Cruz.
You're just like, why?
That's
can't
for
we
sure.
just get along. I say that.
Well, that's the one good thing about, I will say about Santa Cruz too, is the Catalyst, which is the music venue there. Like everybody comes through the Catalyst.
Yeah.
And so we saw like Mos Def. We saw.
that's awesome.
Speaking of, these types of rappers,
Yeah,
like
Mos Def
Immortal
is-
Technique
yeah.
would always come through.
He's a little. Yeah. Immortal Technique's not for me.
Oh, I love Felipe.
He thinks just because he's Immortal Technique. All right. I don't want to be too uncharitable, but he's got a little too much of that, like free your mind because it's time. The CIA has the code. Like he does a little bit.
Well, he definitely goes like big on stuff that I think some people, I don't know, like some of it might seem conspiratorial to people, but also like talk about somebody who who can put things into context.
No,
and
he is.
will
He
rap
is
about
smart.
things that
Good.
no one ever does.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I've interviewed him a bunch of times, and he's he's somebody who's really fascinating to have a conversation with.
I also heard that he bullied. That he went
Chris
to
Hayes.
Or
no, wait.
Miranda.
Miranda.
So
right.
that made me like him.
I only said Chris Hayes because Chris Hayes also went to that high school
He
with
just,
all of them. Yeah.
Maybe he did bully Chris Hayes too. Moral Technique bullied the guy who made Hamilton,
Lin-Manuel
which makes
Miranda,
me
yeah.
like him more. Like a lot more. My favorite, I remember Dead Prez, which is another group that's sort of in that vein. I remember they had this lyric with their records once where it was like because they all had their like songs plotted out, like, all right, this is like the CIA gave Bob Marley cancer song. This is the song that's like borderline black nationalist, but we still want to be able to perform at UC Santa Cruz. And then we have like, here's our like conscious like lovemaking song. And I remember like they literally had a line where they did like the buildup of like how they were romancing this woman and how like this queen was so intelligent, blah, blah, blah. And he's just like, I ain't saying I don't want to fuck, which is like the one of my favorite lyrics ever. Yeah. It was like an Obama style. Let me be clear, like just because we're doing all these conscious lyrics.
I also went to see Andre Nicotina sing, do Ayo for Yayo at the Catalyst in Santa Cruz. So let's not pretend everyone who comes through there is like a social justice warrior either.
Leave social justice to social justice. The reason I say Santa Cruz is because there is a question.
Oh.
Hey, ask Alyona if she's going to collaborate on her Russian book with Professor Urban from Santa Cruz.
You know what? I actually took a class with Professor Urban and very much loved his class. And I haven't spoken to him since I left UC Santa Cruz, but that's actually a really good idea, is to reach out to him. You guys, when I say that I'm thinking of writing a book, which did I even say that when we were on?
That was off mic.
That was off mic?
How did they know?
Were we hot mic? Did you hot mic me? All the stuff that I said?
I actually don't think we were calling them
all
the system
yet. Inappropriate things that I said when we were supposedly on break.
I don't think so. Anyways, let's just roll with it. It's fine. You didn't say anything that bad. I think everything you said about the Jews can be put in context. I got you. Don't worry.
I was reading the flashcard about Esther. But no, like what I meant to say is that is in like the very baby stages, inception point of where I'm just like, I would like to do this. So I haven't actually really thought about it all. But
you totally should.
I will get in touch with Professor Michael Urban.
I think you totally should.
Good idea.
All right, let's take a few calls. You're calling Professor Urban, very big fan of Dipset. You're calling from a 310 area code. Who are you? Where are you calling from?
I didn't get it.
You don't know Dipset?
No.
Oh, we got to play
What's up, guys?
Dipset.
It's Adam from Los Angeles.
What's going on, Adam? Thanks for calling. How's it going, Paisan?
Good, man. Good. King Tubby. That's where it's at.
Oh, okay.
Dub scene.
All right. I like dub. I don't... It's not regular, but I do like King Tubby.
It's different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's different. You got to be in the mood.
Who was it? Linton Kwesi Johnston? Is that right?
I don't know. You're going over my head now.
All right. Well,
it's been a while since I got into that.
All right.
Hey, I wanted to, I know your Mideast critiques are the best, and I was curious to see what your thoughts were regarding a lot of the ramp up with this Russia stuff and the Iran stuff, if they're somehow intertwined, that the pressure is coming on either Russia or Iran essentially to quell the other side of the equation. Do you think they're at all related?
I mean, I think they're related in the sense that they're, although not entirely. I mean, I think some people like Bolton are hawkish in general, and it applies across the board. It seemed to me when they first came in, they had, like as an example, Mike Flynn, who might actually be connected to whatever exactly this Russia thing is, was, clearly pretty comfortable with the Russians and an insane hawk on Iran. So I don't know if it's as synchronized as that.
Well, and he was also like helping the Israelis,
and the Turks
try to dictate policy.
Oh yeah, totally. Well, I mean, look, at this point we could say clearly if there's the easiest and clearest case of influence is the Saudis. I mean, the Saudis have a serious line into the United States, and I would actually say that as far as Iran goes, Israel and Saudi are much more relevant to look at, right, than whatever the kind of signals around Russia are. That's how I would see it.
I agree.
Correct. But do you see, taking that one step further, do you see them perhaps signaling to essentially push Western democracies a little bit more aggressively on Russia in the hopes of isolating Iran further? Because I know that Iran is getting a lot of air support from the Russians in Syria, something that they lack personally. So essentially, you're cutting off their strongest military ally in the region.
Europeans are 110% behind that Iran deal. And if we bail on it and we don't, and it will affect, it has implications for their banking system and currency flows, just even technically, which I need to learn more about. Maybe Alyona knows. But there is no way, regardless of what happens in Syria, that the Europeans will step off of that deal. They're 100% into that deal. 100%.
I don't know.
You don't
sadly,
know about, but what do you think? I mean, but
details.
do you look at it differently? Do you think that it could undermine? I think the Europeans are totally bought into that deal, regardless of what we do or what happens in Syria.
I think you're right. I think that if anything, it's more on the American side, as there are always people, who are trying to push against Iran. But back to your point, it's more to me about like geopolitics between Iran and Saudi Arabia, and how much that kind of dictates everything that happens not only in the region but globally. And it's interesting. The one thing I would say, that this is a little off topic, slightly, sorry, but we had all these European countries that are expelling Russian diplomats, which sure is partly more of like a symbolic move and not that aggressive. But Europe is also highly dependent on Russia, for its energy.
Yeah.
And so like that's pretty ballsy, you got to admit, and considering that we don't need Saudi Arabia for our fossil fuel dependency the way that we used to, like if we wanted to, we could easily, actually start to be critical of that country and change those dynamics, but we just don't want to.
I think it's also because they're an arms market for us. Like,
Well,
I think
yeah.
it's deeper. Like,
Why do you think we're
agree
okay with like 3 years of war in Yemen that has been, perpetuated by our weapons? Because we
Right.
make money off of
We
it.
make a lot of money off of it. And I think in the beginning that was like just Obama trying to be like, guys, stop harassing me about this agreement. Do whatever the fuck you want in Yemen. And now under Trump, it's like, even greater support because of those contracts. But I guess what I'm saying,
the glowing orb,
and the
whatever
orb,
power it has.
that glowing orb has a lot of power. I was trying to find it when I was in the Middle East in February, actually. Any other questions, man?
No, that's it, man. Just dope aesthetics, both of you guys.
Thanks. Thanks, brother. Appreciate it. You're calling from a 518 area code. Who are you? Where are you calling from?
It's me again, Jamaican caller.
Hey, how are you?
The name anonymous for now.
Okay.
Just for, don't worry about that. But as you were talking with the music stuff, yeah, I kind of agree with you. I just look on it like this. A good artist is a good artist. Consciousness evidently doesn't need to be in the equation.
I agree.
The way I look at it.
Yeah, I agree.
If it sounds good, it does sound good. And I do agree, when you try too hard to be all conscious and stuff, and
It can backfire.
it kind of gets in the way.
Somebody who's not conscious but a good artist, but getting a lot of hate, Bruno Mars, for example.
You think he's not conscious? I wanted to think of him as like conscious or not conscious, I guess.
No, but that's what I mean. It doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah. No, he's fun.
But people are talking shit on it. Like they're like,
Why are they
he's just
talking
like
shit?
pop
Why are they
fluff.
talking shit about Bruno
Oh,
Mars?
there's been this whole kerfuffle because somebody
Appropriation
said that
stuff.
he's an appropriator, and then
Oh, I
Stevie
see.
Wonder was like, "That's bullshit," and came to Bruno Mars' defense. And
I do have to ask. I don't hate Bruno Mars at all. He's fun, but every single time I hear him, I'm just like, why aren't we listening to Michael Jackson? I mean,
no,
honestly.
obvious him
Yeah.
and The Weeknd.
Yeah,
like
right,
so many
right.
of them want to be Michael Jackson, but I also love Bruno Mars. I think he's
Michael
wildly
Jackson without
talented.
baggage.
Huh?
Sorry, what was your point?
Michael Jackson without the baggage.
He's without
Without the baggage. Ooh.
Michael Jackson without the unusual babysitting habits. Sorry.
Yeah,
I know it's pretty
It's
bad.
Why you guys have to get so...
You have
Keep
anything
mind
else?
the
The connection is not great. Do you have anything else you could say before you jump off? And next time, I don't know if you're on your headphones, but next time have your headphones on when you call, okay?
Yeah, I'm sorry about the connection.
No, it's fine.
The next thing I was saying is, with the Russia stuff, as a Jamaican dealing with the Russian businessmen, to be specific,
Be careful. Alona gets very
they
upset
can
about this.
earn some of their bad reputation that way. And I'm not talking about Joe Blow,
Right.
Russian on the street. We're talking usually they're business guys, and that's what
You're talking about the oligarchs.
in the third world interact with.
The oligarchs.
Right.
Yeah.
And they've kind of put a bad spin on that. I'll jump off for now since the quality is bad.
Thank you so much. Call again.
I kind of missed that. Was he saying?
He was saying that Russian oligarchs have given Russians kind of a bad brand in places like Jamaica.
I mean, I don't think, like, to be fair, and I say this as a Russian person, like, it's not just the oligarchs that give, Russian business people a bad name, unfortunately. But, because there's just corruption is so much at, like, the root of the society, unfortunately. And by no means, I don't mean that as a blanket statement. Like, my father is a Russian, American businessman, and
he's highly corrupt,
No, he's an amazing, like, fair, intelligent, good businessman. He's really good at what he does, but
it's his name.
I just want to say it's just not. No, it's it's Leonid.
Awesome. Okay.
like Leonid.
I know. I got it.
Like Brezhnev for all of you people who don't know that well.
Wait, why would people know Brezhnev and not Lenin? That would be weird.
Well, because that was his first name. No, not Lenin. Leonid.
Leonid.
That's his first name. Yeah.
Oh, Leonid. When was Brezhnev in power?
Don't
in the
ask
70s?
me these
Nixon was around. Nixon was in
so
the
70s,
White House,
right?
Yeah, so 67.
Don't make me use numbers.
I will never make you use numbers. I got you. You're calling from a 646 area code. Who are you? Where are you calling from?
Mike?
Yes.
Oh, hey, it's Eric.
Hey.
NYC M&A hole.
How are you?
What's up, man?
What's up, brother?
Good.
Also, someone who
break
occasionally
from
gives
writing.
me legal advice on the business end of things.
Yeah. But that's not going to be discussed on air.
That's right.
No, I wanted to ask Alyona when she took Urban's class.
You're a UC. You're a grad.
Are you a banana slug?
I am a UC Santa Cruz grad.
I took Professor Urban's class. I want to say it was my senior year, which was 2008 is when I graduated. But don't quote me on that because I have a horrible memory, and so it may have also been my junior year, and I just genuinely don't remember.
So you got it. So
when
tweet
did
it
you
out.
graduate?
I was 07. Well, 06.
Okay, so probably a little bit. You were a little ahead of my time.
Yeah. No, anyways.
I also was like, an embarrassing fuck up in college. I spent a little too much time partying and not enough time studying. Admittedly,
that's what Santa Cruz is for.
Did you hear how he said it?
I love it. Wait, what college were you in?
Porter.
Oh, okay. I was in Stevenson. But I had,
that makes sense.
Had a few Porter friends. Why does that make sense?
I don't know.
What do you know about Stevenson?
Think fast, dude.
I knew a bunch of kids from Stevenson. Anyways,
You're just jealous of the grassy
question.
knoll at Stevenson, where I also
knoll.
spent most of my time rather than in class.
So why don't we just interact as humans?
Because I used to. People have no idea
Is that
how
where
gorgeous.
they lured you onto RT?
You have no
were
idea how
smoking
beautiful
weed
that
on a
campus
grass
is.
knoll, and they were just like, "You want to come spread a propaganda?" And you're just like, "No, I don't want propaganda, but I want to help us connect as humans." They were like, "Yeah, sure. What the other fucking bullshit? Come Washington."
Like I would walk out of my dorm room freshman year. I'd walk like 10 feet onto this grassy knoll, from which I then had a 180-degree view of like. First, it cascaded onto the soccer fields, then it's the city, and then it's just like the ocean. Or I guess technically it was the bay.
Let's get out of here.
Yeah, but we had the cave.
Sounds amazing.
You had the cave?
Yeah, the spelunking cave.
I will wager a bet that it was better to do mushrooms on the knoll than in the cave.
I will definitely agree with you with that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I definitely would not want to do mushrooms in a fucking cave. Sounds terrifying.
You want to watch the sunset and you want to be like, your hair is on fire when you're looking at your redheaded friends like with their hair like glowing in the sun. Sorry, I should really
record a
stop
UC
talking.
Now
Santa
you just want to
Cruz
mess
ad.
up college aid, that's all.
I think the beer's kicking.
Anyways.
Keep asking college questions.
Can I have another beer? This is what happens now. I'm like sharing.
Yeah, and this is exactly
dumb
how it
stories.
goes. It goes from, I'm going to take it in moderation. I think the question with John Bolton is really one of what we deem serious. 1 hour later, can I have another beer? So what you do is you go on the grassy knoll, you fucking eat some mushrooms, and then you get your friend, and you're like, your fucking hair is flaming because it's fucking red.
Thank you so much.
Drink up.
Yeah, I
All right,
should
bye.
really stop talking.
No, thank you. That was a
Thank
great
you.
call. That
Thanks
facilitated
Peace.
good content.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks for your call.
Question. I'm going to do this really
And thanks for the
briefly
beer.
because you're a great. Well, you're all great patrons. Michael, can you reiterate your position on the whole Elizabeth Brunig fiasco without being interrupted by anyone? I really want to hear your full perspective on it. I mean, look, my full perspective, I guess, is just, I don't know. Are you familiar with this whole Elizabeth Brunig brouhaha? I don't know. It's definitely kind of a tempest in a teapot. But I mean, basically, she's a Catholic, and she writes for the Washington Post, and she writes very well and very perceptively on sort of democratic socialism, advocating for things like healthcare, and also like being a Catholic. Shockingly, she has some ambiguities about abortion, and I guess no one can actually give me this video. I've looked for it, but it's supposedly in 2016 she appeared in a video that was framed as like a pro-life video. I just haven't been able to see it yet. To make a long story short, she has ambiguous statements on this, which is obvious because she's a Roman Catholic. And basically it's sort of concluded in her a very long time ago, actually saying like, I'm just not really going to talk about this issue anymore. And every couple of months, there's sort of like this new Twitter outrage of like, can you believe Elizabeth Brunig said this? And this sort of like, people want to deplatform her and all this sort of thing. And I mean, I'm not to say like, it's a valid debate. There's valid questions to be raised, whatever. You can hash it out.
Sorry, when people are saying, like, can you believe she said this, you mean conservatives are freaking out?
No,
that she
like
was ambiguous,
DSA.
or
DSA, Democratic Socialists are trying to say that,
like,
she
can you believe
can't,
this Roman Catholic?
Yeah,
is
can you believe
ambiguous
that she's a Catholic, even though she says she's a Catholic? And so there's this kind of like, there's always this sort of push against her and her association with her sort of being a socialist or whatever. And I guess my point has just been that, I mean, look, if somebody came to me and they said, we're drafting up some type of democratic socialist policy document that was anti-reproductive rights or opposed to abortion being legal, I would fight it with every fiber of my being. I mean, I'm pro-choice and pro-reproductive justice. But I also think in any broad-based coalition, there's going to be people who are, in some ways there's going to be religious people. I mean, it would be funny going back historically, like, this type of like campus mindset, like when we like deplatform Malcolm X. Like, I don't know what his every single social stance was. Like, I think we need to focus on actual policy. And I think it's a question of, it became not about policy. It became sort of about targeting her essentially at the end of the day, especially in my view, because of the repetition of it for, her religious beliefs, which I just fundamentally don't agree with. I mean, this is why I criticize Sam Harris and his Muslim stuff, and it applies to Christianity as well. And I want a big tent because I'm interested in winning. And that includes, like, there's going to be people that they're going to think about things differently, and we can have those debates, but they don't need to be, grounds to sort of exclude somebody or certainly not sort of damage them when actually at the end of the day, they're primary advocates for healthcare bills that would get rid of the Hyde Amendment.
But she's not a politician,
yeah.
right? It's like, that's
right.
Like, sure, when like someone like Bernie Sanders or whoever says that it's okay if certain like Democratic politicians aren't on board with abortion, like, I disagree with that, because those to me are people
policy.
who actually make policy.
That's policy.
If you're just somebody who writes, who is a normal, like a regular human being who has opinions, then of course there's going to be areas where we don't align.
Right. And I also just have gotten really allergic generally too. Like, there was this really good essay called Exiting the Vampire Castle about sort of like, I just think the kind of like online call out culture is totally exhausted itself, and it's not a site for smart or strategic politics or good conversations.
Well, everyone is just so absolutist, and that it gets you nowhere.
Yeah. No, I think that's basically true, and I don't think that there's any contradiction between what we're saying and holding a really strong line on things from like an actual policy perspective. And I think that's a distinction.
I think holding people with power and influence accountable is far more important than like calling out some random person on Twitter.
Right, and arguably
Personally.
she's
Not
a
that,
Washington
not that
Post,
some people on Twitter
right.
don't have power and influence. And yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I mean, arguably no, but that being said, I mean, this is another thing that frustrated me about it is she has clarified her position, and so why is it that there's, you know, clusters of people, including, I mean, some people might have just encountered this for the first time, and sorry,
so this is why Mike's slow.
Oh no, I'm not even. I'm saying like, you know, and so maybe they have questions that they want to ask that are fresh for them, and that's fine. But I definitely noticed a trend where there's like some people, it's like they drum this up every couple of months, it's clearly just to sort of harass her and do this kind of purity exercise, and I just think it's, you know, it's just kind of gross and fruitless and useless. And I think that, you know, she's already made her stance really clear, which is that functionally she's not even going to write about it anymore. So let's, like, you know, it was weird to me that some people, and this is a very small conversation, this is the last thing I'll say about it, but I mean, some people are putting more energy into, you know, the same people that do this every couple of months, where, you know, it's like they had more to say about her than this guy Dan Lipinski, who's a anti-choice Democratic congressman who's facing a serious primary challenge, and he won. So, you know, I don't know, it needs to be broad. I don't like the internet call-out culture, and thought diversity is different than policy diversity. I guess those are my kind of basic points.
Great.
And I'm totally into abortion. Are you kidding me? It's saved my life on multiple occasions. I'm just, you know.
Wow.
Make it mandatory.
I think I just made you feel ashamed. It was just
You
like,
did.
It was just a,
you know what?
a silent look.
You know, that's your problem, is that you finally found the way. You usually give me too much, like, you shouldn't, I can't believe you. And then that just gives me more juice.
I now understand that all I need to do is be silent.
And that hits me at a visceral level. And I feel some shame, but I still wouldn't want to ruin that joke. You're calling from a 478 area code. Who are you? Where are you calling from?
Michael, I'll give you a hint. There's a shiny and definitely real power. Consider it gold. Guess right.
Jeff, can you call right back? Your line is terrible. I can't hear you at all. Can you call right back?
Okay.
Oh, wait, now you're good. Why don't you do your whole thing again? Oh, he's gone.
Oh, he's gone.
Yeah, whatever. That's a shame. You're calling from a 631 area code. Who are you? Where are you calling from?
Yeah. Is this me?
Yeah, this is you.
Oh, excellent. So, I'm Dave. I'm actually currently in Brooklyn.
Hey, Dave.
I want to do two things really quick.
Hey, what's going on, Dave?
One is a question. One is I just want to share a story of my encounter with a Jordan Peterson fan.
Oh, okay. What's your question for? Do you want to do your question first?
So the question I can do after second. I can take it off the line.
Okay, follow your. Okay, so tell the story. You met it. Are you familiar with Jordan Peterson?
No.
Alona is fucking amazing. No, now I'm just turning into just complete envy. To live a life where you don't know who this motherfucker is. I want to be transported.
Is this another like Twitter thing though?
I share your aesthetic.
Because I don't really go on Twitter anymore.
No, he's actually. He's bubbled, like he's actually now one of the best-selling authors on the planet, and he's a psych professor in Canada.
Okay.
And he got big because he had this big emotional meltdown about like calling people by their preferred gender pronouns in his class. Like it was this whole like, if I have to say they, then it's communism. And he had this big.
These are the things I tune out from purposefully.
So, look, there's no question that if I wasn't in the YouTube game, I would too. But I saw that this dude was and now I'm actually kind of surprised because now like he's been written up in the New Yorker. Like now he's definitely crossed that threshold where like normal people ask me about him. So, and he's kind of like a cross of sort of like self-help and reactionary politics, basically. So yes, you met, and his fans are a lot of sort of young men. So what's your what was the story? Now that I've given you the setup, and I would like to also apologize to Alyona for informing her as to who this person is.
I'll keep this as brief as I can. So really quickly, I'm actually an Uber driver out in the city. So I drive all over the city and everything like that. And usually while I drive, I have either TMBS or majority on the radio. A lot of times when they get in the car and whatnot.
Hell yeah.
So this has been led to a lot of interesting conversations as a result.
I would imagine.
For another time.
Can you call in regularly with like updates of Uber drivers encountering these shows? I would like that. You can make that a regular.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. I can definitely share it. It's pretty interesting. So for another time, I'll share my experience with this libertarian who tried to introduce me to the brilliance of Ayn Rand. But that's for another time.
Oh God. Okay, so you have yeah. Jordan Peterson supporter. He's in the car. Are you listening to me making fun of Jordan Peterson crying?
Yes. This is actually last week's episode. Actually, this is Sunday. So,
where we played him crying and laughed at him. Okay.
Ripping into Jordan Peterson. This guy gets into the car. So this is actually during like the post game. So he didn't hear some of the earlier riffs and everything like that. So as he gets in the car, I don't think he recognizes that this is exactly who you're riffing on. But it was midway through, I think it's the Matt's critique of Peterson.
Yep.
He's like, hey, that's where I'm going. So apparently, when I picked him up, I was actually taking him to a Jordan Peterson event.
Oh my God.
If you ever needed a signal from the universe.
So it's crazy because I picked him up in the Lower East Side. He's like, taking up Midtown, and he's literally like, yeah, I'm about to go there, and it's kind of out of left field when you're trying to learn a little more about this, and there's literally a passenger that's like, yeah, this is where I'm going to go. So I kind of, had to pause the radio for a bit so we can kind of engage.
Yeah.
So engage him, and I got a feel for why is it that
he was a virgin?
He's so into Jordan Peterson. Yeah, and it's ironic that you get someone in the car who's literally fulfilling everything you guys are mentioning. He is a big major Jordan Peterson fan because he really believes in the self-help that he's offering. He also mentioned that sometimes you just need guidance in life, and he's just telling the truth. And
right.
And I don't think I will speak to him and that's all good and that's good and all, about looking for someone to help you out there. But it's important to be aware of whom you're listening to and how divisive some of that language could be. I try to be very PC about it because I don't want to get into a fight in an Uber over this, right? please do not get into a fight.
One star for that ride.
Don't fuck up your rating because you're listening to me be a dick about somebody's guru, okay? Please don't do that. I would feel really bad about that.
No. It's with all the passengers, because actually I think a lot of passengers actually enjoy when I actually have TMBS on it.
Yeah. Well, it actually leads, I don't take that many cars, but I remember, I was going to the airport a couple months ago, and I had to get, a car, at 5 o'clock in the morning, and actually, it's funny, obviously on this show, we've criticized Ta-Nehisi Coates, but, the guy who was driving me was listening to Ta-Nehisi Coates talk, and that turned into a really interesting conversation. Huh. I mean, it definitely is a doorway to, much more interesting kind of topic.
Yeah, good conversations. There's a gazillion Russian-speaking Uber drivers in this city.
I bet.
And so, it goes in many, many directions that are often hilarious. Sometimes just even as trivial as food. I was going to an Uzbekistani restaurant. The guy was Uzbek. And we were talking about Georgian cuisine, and they started talking shit on Georgian cuisine, and we got really into it.
That's awesome.
Actually, so there's a restaurant called Nargis. Mm-hmm. And the original one is in Sheepshead Bay, which I haven't been to. It's a huge banquet hall apparently, but they just opened one in Park Slope.
Oh, word.
And it's so fucking good. And I'm excited because I think that food culture has yet to catch on to kind of Central Asian cuisine way, which Uzbeki food, Azerbaijani food, Georgian food, my favorite cuisines in the world. They're amazing. And that's a very big. It's actually like a big move that it's in a place like Park Slope, right?
Right,
Because
Park
then it
Slope,
puts it on
very,
the
very
map
trendy.
for a certain
Well, not actually
kind
Park
of
Slope, not trendy,
clientele.
but affluent. Yeah.
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 But it's really good. Or there's like Cafe Dushan Bay in Sheepshead Bay, which I just went to, which I normally go to after the Russian bathhouse in Sheepshead Bay.
Is that still open? Because those fucking bathhouses are closing all over the place. All these places where you could.
I don't know. The one I go to is open and it's really funny. It's always a scene too.
How could it not be a scene?
A lot of Russian bros.
A lot of really. Usually the one I used to go to was always Hasids.
Oh, interesting.
It was like a ton of Hasids.
No, and this one, and like, of course, so typically Russian, there's the main 2 saunas and a steam room and like the area that everyone hangs out in.
Hey, man, I'm going to let you go.
I'm so sorry. I went on
else?
a rant about bathhouses.
No, the question very briefly is just, is there any, I'll take my answer offline.
Yeah, but what is it?
Is there anything that you like? Is there anything that you'd like me to say in the introduction? Because I think Mitchell about the show always gets people more intrigued when I have the show on. Is there anything you'd like me to share?
Some free promotion.
And I'll take my answer offline.
Oh, I mean, dude, I really appreciate it. I mean, honestly, like whatever you like about it, just tell them like.
I met this guy at the Russian bathhouse.
I met this guy at the Russian bathhouse.
He told me about his show.
Yeah, we were rubbing each other down.
We were both in the all-male sauna where everyone's naked.
Yeah,
and,
we were smacking each other with a wood switch, and he was just like, "I've got some really good content, making fun of Jordan Peterson for being a fucking pussy," and I was like, "Yeah, I'll become a fucking patron." No, but honestly, dude, whatever. I appreciate it, and just whatever value you're getting from the show, just share it. I don't have a script for you, but that's awesome. I appreciate that. Do we have any sound, Maddie? All right. You're calling from a 572 area code. Who are you? Where are you calling from?
Hello?
Hey, you're on.
Oh, hello. Yeah, I was just calling and
is this Uchiwali?
Yeah, you have Alyona on, and that's really cool because I did actually have a question about sort of the North Korean South Korean conflict and sort of a little bit of my perspective on that. So,
can I just one moment before you go into it? I just want to be clear. Alyona is a Russian asset. She's not North Korean, so she might have some sense of destructive regimes that want to destroy us, but it's from a Russian perspective, not North Korean. Okay,
who's employing a bunch of North Koreans? The Russians,
Oh yeah,
that's sort of like we own them.
I totally get
we own them. They are working for us. They are who are working us.
Anyway, I would love to hear your question.
Our food is the best.
Uchiwali? May I call you that?
I have a second question.
I don't think this is Uchiwali.
A second question as well about Mandela, because my name is Mandela as well. So I have to, I also have to run with that as well. But anyway, just moving in real quick on the on the South North Korea divide is that one of the things that I noticed about kind of like the North and South Korean kind of diplomacy, well, especially the South Korean diplomacy initiative, was just that they really, the South Koreans really put their foot into this initiative in the sense that, they saw that, they definitely saw that the United States was vulnerable when Trump came in the sense that whatever he says internationally and diplomatically is not taken seriously by the rest of the world.
They've also just had a really
hey,
big shift. So they had a right-wing government collapse, and they just had a center-left leader.
I totally agree, and I followed that. I followed that fully.
So throw the question to Alyona so we can, because we do have to be a little bit timely here. So what's your question?
Well, so my question is that being that the South Korean kind of diplomatic framework kind of noticed this and so on and so forth, they posed, a sort of, diplomatic question to the United States to have negotiations with Donald Trump and blah, 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 whatever that means. But I think that, my question moves on to, I keep forgetting this crazy right-wing dude's name, John Bolton.
Oh.
So,
that dude.
The guy who's going to lead to the end of life on planet Earth, him.
Yes. Yeah. Right. And to me that, that I feel like that kind of threw a chink in their armor because, Trump just brought in like the craziest dude ever. And maybe, the fact that you have someone that is on there that has sort of an international policy framework.
Okay, so I think so. You know what? Call again next week with the second part because that's a lot. But I'm going to get to the first part. So Alyona, South Korea's role in this. I think that's basically. And then does John Bolton undermine it, or is he say? I think he's like John Bolton's craziness matches their craziness.
I feel. I'll be honest. I feel unqualified. To give this all
right.
a really decent
fair
answer.
Enough. What is Putin thinking?
But I think that for me, part of the interesting thing about the way that this is played out are by no means do I think that Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un are like an all-star diplomatic team to work out this crisis.
They're total all-stars.
But it's also like the dismay that people showed at this announcement to me was a little shocking because it's like we shouldn't necessarily be opposed to diplomacy right off the bat.
No fucking kidding. That's
doesn't
insane.
mean Donald Trump is going to do it right, but you don't want it to be war. But I think going back to a point that you made earlier, clearly what's happening in South Korea is significant, their role in this, but like do not downplay or underestimate China's role and China's interests, which is honestly to keep that conflict, at a status quo and kind of where it is at the moment.
Yeah, no, I think that's true, and I think that and I also think that we have to be, again, the explanation is not justification. So I think it goes without saying that North Korea has a really, a truly, almost actually, we should remind ourselves how obscene their human rights record is, not to, add to the jingoism and hype, but almost because it gets covered here in almost like a clownish way. Mm-hmm. Like it's almost kind of like a sick, almost comedic, like it's covered in a very bizarre way. And the reality is there's a huge amount of human suffering imposed by that government. And at the same time, as with a lot of these other cases, it's very rational why they would want a deterrence. And, we're still technically at war with them. They're surrounded by a U.S. troop presence on the peninsula. And I think there's definitely an angle that I want to explore more. I don't know enough now either. But I think that if we pushed into it, particularly with a slightly more moderate South Korean government, that might be a case of a government representing people who are the most threatened. Like all this threat from North Korea for us is an abstraction.
Of course.
That's real. If something happens, Seoul is shelled by conventional weapons and thousands of people die. They are very invested in a demilitarized situation, which also implicates us. And one of the things that these liberal idiots who have attacked Trump for, Trump obviously has no idea what the fuck he's doing, blah, blah, blah. We already know this. But this idea that you would attack him for agreeing to meet without preconditions, because that's, been what the North Koreans have wanted, and he gave in to them. And of course he doesn't know, but it's like, at some point there's totally going to need to be diplomacy without preconditions with them. That's the only way that we could create, at the very least, even something we had in the 90s.
Well, because the status quo is unsustainable, in
we all
reality,
know this.
can't go on forever. And I think, and to your point, I kind of, if South Korea wants to be a leader in this, then we should 100%, follow suit. And like the same thing with like when the Islamic State was kind of at the very first, I think, causing havoc. Everyone's like, well, why don't the regional leaders take care of this? And I agree. Like, you want the regional powers to be more invested and play a larger role. And I think that we need to let that happen and support it.
Right. I agree completely. I mean, I guess in that case, the fucking regional leaders were funding them. But
yeah.
Yeah. You're calling from a 646 area code. Who are you? Where are you calling from?
Hello, Michael.
Hello. Is this Monique?
Yes. And just confirming you are of Jacobian descent because you made me laugh at an abortion joke. So
Boom.
I know you're the devil.
I am the devil. I'm the Jacobian left, baby. That's right. That was, I forget who
How
wrote
are
that
you?
down. I'm good. I'm tired, but I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. Just wanted to check in before you go on your Jacobian vacation somewhere, probably in some Caribbean island.
That's
getting
usually
ratchet. So, you know, in case they don't let you back in the country, you know.
I would actually totally, there's a part of me that loves that scenario you just painted. Go get ratchet and just stay. I buy it.
Pick your island wisely.
Yeah,
Like,
word.
Yeah. You said wife like singular? Okay.
No, she said.
No. I said pick your island wisely in terms of, like
she said
location, what kind of stuff you're going to have at the
she
grocery store.
She
There
said
can be
pick
very
your
limited.
island wife wisely.
I did no such thing. No such thing.
That's what she said.
I'm not going to give you a hard time. I'm back in the States. So
Welcome back.
Thank you guys. It was so good hearing Nokini today. And
Anoa. Oh, no, Miki. No, Miki. No, Miki.
Yeah,
no, my bad. No, Miki was on Majority Report because you were just in Puerto Rico. She was right.
Oh,
totally.
no, Miki Konst?
No, Miki Konst.
Yeah.
That was another. She was on this show a couple weeks ago, and believe me, you're not the only name that I have some fucking struggles with.
No, Miki? I struggle with that.
But it's not exactly that's the problem. It's deceptive. It's like no Miki. It's some type of intonation.
I feel bad because I've for years just called her Nomiki,
and then
maybe
it's not like Konst. It's like Kunst. It's like some type of. Oh, don't get all.
It's always the women's fault.
All right, look,
okay,
you're
Michael.
trained as a Russian Asian. You don't care.
I love Nomiki. She's great.
She is great.
History Month. Okay.
She is great. Thank you, Monique. Remember Friday show.
Take care.
Bye. Thank you.
Huh?
Remember Friday show this week. Friday show.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. All right. Bye.
Have a good one. Bye.
Thank you.
Can I just say I love that you're like on this first name basis with the listeners.
Patrons.
It's great.
They're
It's
amazing.
I want that.
I love these people.
Like, I want a family like this.
You're very. I mean, I can't with all of because there's obviously a massive amount of people that don't call in or anything.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're all. I mean, they're
Because
awesome.
they're Russian bots. They're not real followers.
You know what? If Russian bots are fucking paying Patreon every month, cool. You say that like I give a fuck.
Wait, was I the only one that read that big New York Times expose, about like
what?
the bot
Which
factory? One? It was a couple weeks ago about looking at like how many famous people, how across the board, like pundits, news personalities had all purchased Twitter followers.
Mm.
And is this the one where Sally Albright was outed as having a bunch of bot followers?
I think so, yeah. But the whole thing was like, people have their identities stolen. Like there was a reason why it was nefarious. But to me, after reading it, I was like, shit, maybe I should buy some Twitter followers. I was like, this just kind of like encouraged me to buy some followers.
I like what Alyona say.
Well, I like what Joe Mandy.
You don't get those for free?
Joe Mandy, the comedian on Twitter, bought 1 million Twitter followers.
That's
and that
amazing.
really helped his profile. Because like now when everyone saw him on Twitter, like, holy crap, this guy has 1 million.
But that's the thing, it's like, it's a fake, it's a currency now, oddly enough, to where like it makes it seem like you have influence, you get paid more. Like,
well,
I've never thought of doing it, but I read it and part of the article I think was meant to, in many ways, obviously discourage people and obviously show that like there is no correlation between your follower count necessarily and your influence, but it just also showed how easy it was to do it. I was like,
I like that.
Maybe one day I'll try it out.
Ideas. I mean, it is really interesting, the distinction, like, and I've just been learning, and one of the reasons that I'm like, obviously just really appreciative of all of you and the community is like, I mean, that that Patreon number is definitely a representation of something that's real.
Yeah.
You know, that's not like that means like there's a real, I mean, even tons of people, I don't know their names or whatever, but like, you know, we definitely have a relationship together, and like the investment in that content is a whole other, like that's a real relationship. You know, on Twitter, I mean, I've always kind of looked at Twitter like that too. Like, am I trying to like really like have like actual interaction with actual people?
Twitter's not real.
It's right. It's not real, and to the extent to which it provides any value, it's like, is there actually an exchange with people that like is interesting, basically, and benefits them, benefits you?
Well, it's also I feel like only some voices are amplified.
Right.
You know, now where like it used to feel a little bit more of a free for all.
No, now it kind of
like
mirrors everything
only
else.
if you have that many followers and you're destined, like every tweet you send is going to get thousands of retweets. And so it's just like the same voices crowding the room. And it also just like, it still represents a bubble.
Yep.
You know, and people all the time reference like the internet and like Twitter, like, well, people on Twitter have been saying this, and I do it too. I'm totally guilty of referencing that.
Right.
But it's just like, let's not act like
that's people on your Twitter.
That many people.
Right. No doubt.
Like, it's not some broad swath of society.
Which leads me again to apologize for exposing Jordan Peterson to you. You're calling from
now I'm gonna have to go home and like, you know, Google and
watch
read all up on it.
Watching him cry. That's the best introduction to him. You're calling from a 478 area code. Who are you? Where are you calling from?
Hello, Michael. Can you hear me? This is the crazy uncle of the TMBS community.
Yes, sir. We can hear you loud and clear. Please go ahead.
What's up, Unc?
Hey, how you doing, guys? Hey, listen, there's been a bit of conversation around these parts and adjacent podcasts about, you know, the word socialism and why exactly it's viewed with such contempt. And, you know, I've heard a lot of people around the show today, but you know, we ain't really heard from nobody who lives in no red state like me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, I'm gonna speak from the heart that honestly, you know, these people. Think about the people who run their state and local governments. It's a pack of petty bourgeois car dealership owner types. You know, they don't give a shit about the public sector. And when they hear socialism, they've been trained to think that's the government doing something. And their experience with the government beyond the government's ability to, you know, crack skulls in minority communities and keep their taxes low ain't so great.
Right.
And so, you know, one of the prime missions of the Democratic Party, if they're able to ever get their heads out of their asses to take back power, is to show people another way. That Uncle Sam ain't just a big bad guy with a baton ready to beat the shit out of you. That maybe he got a couple bucks for you. Maybe he'll help fix your teeth if they get broke. You know, maybe he'll give you single-payer health care and stuff like that. That's all I want to call in with today.
No, but I think that's a really,
wait, where
really
are you
important
from?
point.
Can I get some more details?
Yeah.
Just curious.
My
Georgia?
name is Jeff from Georgia, ma'am, and it's a pleasure to meet you might even call it a stupendous pleasure beyond the imagining of this young dog-eared socialist.
Wow.
Well, I'm
actually,
flattered.
all that's a lie. I am in fact a deep-covered Russian agent. So deep I've lost my accent. And my affinity for you has less to do with your love for leftist politics and more for my own heart-sick nature for the Mother Russia. I sure do miss all that chain smoking and alcoholism. I really do. It's tough down here. We don't have that kind of stuff. Well, I guess we do. But yes, ma'am, I'm Jeff from Georgia.
You know what's funny is
in rare form, Jeff from Georgia.
My father, who is, you know, like coming from the Soviet Union, a hyper-capitalist now and gone in the complete opposite direction. Like anytime he hears anything that even slightly to him like resembles socialism or kind of like centralized government on that level, he is so like vehemently opposed to it. And I just think that it's interesting because to me it's always a good example of like someone who's lived through something that was meant to be communism and socialism, not exactly the same thing, obviously, but you know, like in that vein an experiment versus like the young idealists that are like socialism sounds great.
Or or this whole middle zone though of like the most successful countries in the world that are socialist countries, right?
Yes.
Like I think that's like the biggest.
Nothing though has been applied in like a perfect form, you know.
Yeah, well,
like
that's by definition.
Yeah, like no government theory has really been played
Can
out in a way that's perfect.
Can I ask you a serious question, ma'am? Something that I've heard before is that obviously we know the Soviet Union's got its flaws, did a lot of really bad things. We don't need to relitigate that. Everybody in this community knows the history, I think. But I have read and heard that there was actually a surprising amount of nostalgia after the collapse of the Soviet Union. For all its flaws, there were some good things about it, right?
I think they did achieve
some modicum
for
of
sure
gender equality,
some
enforced by
social
law,
delivery,
stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's still.
And I was just wondering the extent that do you think that that's true in Russia today?
It's 100% true, and that nostalgia still very much exists, particularly amongst the older population who actually lived,
right?
During in the Soviet Union, because like, listen, at the end of the day, you did. As much as we like bemoan the evils and the problems of centralized government because things are like bureaucratic and inefficient, you also have something that is. It's always there.
Yeah, you have healthcare.
You have
food.
You have healthcare. You have
and
education.
In the 90s,
like
they
all of
didn't.
Those things.
When World Bank and IMF and gangsters were fucking looting that country, and I also think it's important to I would just always say we got to decouple like bureaucracy is bureaucracy and capitalism is capitalism and socialism is socialism. Your HMO is a bureaucracy that you deal with and you are tortured by the notion that big unaccountable bureaucracies that mistreat people and don't operate efficiently are only the product of government is insane. Yeah. Like that's a question of scale and accountability, and certainly the corporate sector is rife with bureaucracies that, by the way, don't even have like the theoretical mission that they're there to provide a public good. Like they're monstrous, unaccountable bureaucracies whose point is to just maximize profit.
Yeah.
So, I think we need to decouple those things a little bit.
Also, like I had a very dark conversation with a friend today about why like human beings, like we just can't have nice things, and we almost like we deserve the political leaders that we get. We are completely catapulting down this path of like self-destruction when it comes to ignoring climate change. Yeah. And it's just like, I guess we just deserve to fucking destroy ourselves.
I don't know if Matt deserves it.
I don't want to think that way, but it's just like people ruin things. They ruin these beautiful ideas and concepts because they're corrupt, because they're greedy, because they're self-interested, because we can't just like live up to our goals and our ideals, unfortunately.
Do better.
I just want to add two quick things for you because I know it's getting late. The first is that if you're into charts and graphs and stuff like that, TMBS community, you can look at a graph of the economic potential of Russia and the Soviet Union's countries right before the collapse and right after, and it's a catastrophic drop that resulted in a massive decrease in life expectancies and all sorts of measures of quality of life in that country once the Soviet Union collapsed, and it never really rebounded in a way that it should have, a lot like the collapse we had in 2008. And the second thing I want to say, Michael, is that Hall left is best.
Left is best. No! That's right. Thanks, brother. Alyona, is there a sense that the U.S. I hope you. I'm not sure I understand this. Is there a sense that the U.S. Thank you so much. That the U.S. and Russia never really became any closer in terms of people. Diplomatic relations improved at various times, and obviously the wall came down in Germany, but there's still a lot of distrust amongst ordinary citizens of Russia and Western countries and lack of understanding because of propaganda and so on. That was kind of what we were talking about before.
Yeah, I think it also just depends on, obviously one thing that the collapse of the Soviet Union did bring was open borders. To an extent. Like, believe me, I grew up with a Russian passport. You needed the visa to go fucking everywhere, and it was miserable. But at the same time, you had the ability to travel if you went through that whole bureaucratic process. And so back to just my point of like, when you actually meet people, when you interact with them, when you talk to them, it opens your eyes and it's completely different. And I think that social media is kind of playing a similar role in both ways. It's being used to to propagandize and to turn people against each other, but in the same effect, it also helps bring people together. Like people, you now can see, at least theoretically, based on what you see online, like how people live in other countries.
Right.
You can engage with them based on mutual interests, and so I think like the opportunity is there. It's just what do you follow and what do you believe? And unfortunately, people are often more apt and more want to go after the stuff that it emotionally manipulates them, that is kind of like politically propagandizing them against each other.
You somehow need to figure out a way, I think, and in the small way of this show and everything that I'm involved with, I think there's if you could get a lot more cynical and savvy about how governments and institutions work and a lot more optimistic about other people, that would be great. And I mean, including like cynical, like in a way too, that like if America understood Iran in a more cynical way, then we would be a lot less freaked out by Iran, because we'd understand that they're rational actors who have a game that they're playing, right? Just like we do. So I don't mean like cynical, like freaked out, but I just mean that like understand power and how it works. And then on another level, have a lot more faith, not in some Pollyannish way, but just in the reality that like, yeah, most people, they really are. They're worried about feeding their families. They're worried about having sex. They're worried like very, very basic shit. And there has to be some type of dual track on that.
I will say I find that as a journalist, like the more I make a concerted effort to talk to people who aren't journalists, because we all obviously tend to live and self-segment into bubbles,
right?
And like I think that as a journalist too, you tend to be extra cynical, or at least you should be, about power, government,
but not about normal
and things
people.
like that, but not about normal people. And so like the more you talk to other people, they're doing other things, like starting businesses, whatever, like actually doing things that help the world. Not that good journalism doesn't also do that, but you know what I mean? Like connecting people in a meaningful, tangible way. I always get inspired by it. And it's like, okay,
And that's
why there are good things.
And that's supposed to be the root of our politics, at least from speaking from my political perspective. It is supposed to be broad, and it's supposed to be inviting to most people.
They shouldn't be mutually exclusive, and sadly, like...
We got to get out of that. It's a fucking trap, and it's a guaranteed failure. Question from Kentucky Fried Comrade. I'm sorry, I've been reading these names. Has Michael Brooks, I like how he spelled it out, like there's Michael Brooks. And I'm going to assert Alyona in here as well, because I haven't. Has Michael Brooks been covering the California governor's race at all? It's a race between single-payer Dem and an Obamacare Dem in November. And last night's debate, Republicans suggested deporting homeless people from the state to deal with the homeless problem. Well, that's really fucked up.
Great.
I support the single-payer candidate. Although I am super wary of both Villaraigosa and Newsom. On this channel, to be honest with you, patrons, there's no lies between us. It was a not exciting interview at all, but I did do about a 20-minute interview with Kevin De Leon, who's the Senate President pro tempore, who's running against Dianne Feinstein.
Mm-hmm.
He's a nice guy. His interview was, he is...
That's like when you go on a date with someone, they're like, he was nice.
Yeah. I mean, he is... these people have not learned what they have not learned from Trump, frankly, and even from Obama, is just like, you can't be such a fucking ironically, being such a politician in today's context is actually very not slick.
Yeah.
Because people find it so off-putting. So he's a really nice guy. I would certainly vote for him over Dianne Feinstein, but he didn't go anywhere interesting. So that's my forewarning.
I think both Villaraigosa and Newsom is like, they're both kind of, they got that politician sheen.
Who are you leaning towards? You leaning towards?
Honestly, I have to admit, like, I'm not well read up on this, and I need to pay a lot more attention, because I also, like, LA is where I consider home. It's where I grew up, and so I'm sorry. I'll get back to you guys on that.
No, I totally. I mean, obviously, California's a big deal. The New York thing too. We'll cover more. Matt, this is for you. Are you more of a indica or sativa guy?
I honestly can't tell the difference.
Yeah, like
I think
like,
it's
all good
marketing.
meat.
You know how I remember the difference between the two?
How?
Because indica for couch.
That's that's good.
That's how I remember.
Do you have any sound effect to play for that? That needs some type of soundboard.
Which one makes you like more lazy and tired, and which one gives you more energy?
I can't tell the difference when I smoke them both.
I like sativa better. Why is Russia the only nation that Why is Russia the only nation that will save us from everything? I think that would be probably more for Alyona. Michael
said it was going to save us.
I don't know. I didn't get that one. I'm sorry. That's probably.
I'm sorry. I don't.
That's
think
probably
a
really funny joke that I'm just not getting.
Yeah.
Michael, which country's alphabet soup of politics overwhelms you most? Oh, that's interesting. I got to tell you, prepping for that Italy illicit history was fucking convoluted as fuck.
Yeah, talk about a
circus
Christ of a disaster.
I mean, like when you have a country where you're like the CIA and mafia part was like the part where I'm most like, all right, I get this. That says a lot.
But you think about like a Berlusconi type of character and a Donald Trump type
character.
He's
the forerunner of Trump.
Yeah,
no doubt. All right, here's the last call. Then we got a few IMs. Then we're out. You're calling from a 330 area code. Who are you? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Michael, it's Ryan from Ohio.
Hey, Ryan, what's going on? Thanks for calling.
Hey, you're quite welcome. I usually call in and like make some silly jokes and stuff, but I want to talk about something serious.
Yeah,
tonight.
That's true. You do usually do that, Ryan.
It's true. I can admit it. But I know Sam already talked about it, but I really wanted to talk about Black African gun crime against other Black Africans.
Okay.
Black African?
Yeah. You know, this is another thing.
They're killing each other by the bushel, my friend.
Sebastian Gorka in a clip.
Fuck, I'm so out of it because I don't have to right now.
Fucking I am so goddamn impressed.
Don't worry about it.
When I tune out of the news cycle, like I go hard.
I'm both impressed and jealous, and also like, could you at least get slightly meme updated before you come on here? For Christ's sake, you don't even know who that fucking crying hysteric from Canada is. Oh, Sebastian Gorka was on some TV station. He's just like, Black Africans in Chicago are killing each other by the bushel-full.
Oh my goodness!
To quote
I got to yell at him. That was a lot of fun.
Wait. Are you the dude who went and harassed Sebastian Gorka? You're the dude?
Yeah, Ryan. Yeah.
Fucking A, man.
I thought you knew that. Okay.
I didn't know that. That was amazing. You stood outside of a Sebastian Gorka event with a sign saying "fake PhD," and that was hilarious. What was his reaction?
It was a lot of fun, and I don't regret it. Oh, he did that thing where you try to pretend that you don't notice someone. It's obvious that he's like shuffling sideways, looking away from me.
That's fucking. Oh, we have the picture up here. Great. Oh wait, no, we have the video. We're gonna play your video, Ryan. You're a hero.
Can't wait to see.
I'm gonna do a round table with you, Ronnie Casseroles, and the guy who broke Rand Paul's ribs for heroism. All right, go ahead. Let's play this.
Gorka, I know you can hear me. You're not a real doctor. Good one.
Wait, who said get a job? Was that him?
No, it was some other guy.
Oh,
it was some angry, old white man.
Right.
As most of them there.
Gorka.
Don't talk about Alona's dad like that.
My dad, sadly, I mean, listen, I respect my father, but he's definitely like always tries to insinuate that protesters don't have jobs.
Get a job, Sebastian Gorka, great man. Fuck you, Ryan, Ohio.
I was really hoping
you want the communism.
I was really
Fuck
hoping
you.
he'd pull up in his
for
car,
living.
but he came up in a limo.
I
disappointed there.
I have a whole chain of best manicurists in LA. I work for myself. Not a manicure business. I know. I'm just comedic license.
My father is an architect. He's a designer.
Well, why are you looking down on
intellectual?
What's wrong with manicurists?
An architect of fingernails.
Oh my god!
I can see the.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna go.
You can see
now.
the mind meld I have in my audio. That was so middle school too. I loved it. Yeah, architect of fingernails. Boom. Ryan, you're the best. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that's the final call of the day. Thank you, everybody. Remember, Friday night, because no show next week. Friday we start at 6. We'll probably end the normal show a little bit earlier to get even more interaction with you, and then Lee Carter will be the guest.
Where are you going next week?
I'm actually just going to Massachusetts to see my mama.
Oh.
Yeah, I just need to get some country time in New England.
That's lovely.
Yeah, it's necessary. I've been actually, I'm shot. I'm ready for that. You're getting out of here anytime soon?
I'm going to LA on Friday.
Sweet.
And I had to have that call with my dad when he's like, when do I get to see you? And I'm like, well, I fly in, I have a wedding, then I'm going to Joshua Tree, then I'm going to Big Bear to snowboard. I'm like, so I can see you Wednesday night. Oh. No, like I'm home for like 8 days and I have like one night to hang out because then I have another wedding the following weekend. It's jam packed.
Pop them in.
I feel bad.
Oh, Leonard. You ought to make more time.
You
for
just
him.
want to call. Of course I do.
Yeah.
I genuinely feel guilty. He's like, Sunday's Easter. I'm like, we're going to have like a big dinner. And I'm like, I know, I already told you I won't be there. That I like feel guilty.
Does your dad have the Brezhnev unibrow?
My father does not have a unibrow. No.
He is not a manicurist, chain owner, nor does he have a unibrow. I'm actually going to intervene here and say,
big, like people are like, oh, he's like looks like a big scary Russian dude, but he's a teddy bear. He's the sweetest man.
Okay.
What?
No.
Is that weird that I said that?
No, it's not weird. It's actually totally adorable. It's adorable.
He's an amazing person.
I believe it. I know a lot of amazing people with terrible politics. Legit. Honestly, there is actually something. Sometimes that stereotype of people with horrible politics who are like infinitely better in real life than people in good politics totally exists.
I used to think that he did it just to troll me. Like he just liked to, get me pissed off so that I would engage in a debate with him. But I also feel now kind of guilty living across the country that the distance.
Oh, you think he's gotten worse because you're not holding him in check.
He's not getting enough of the pushback.
Get on the phone with him.
But ultimately, we always come back to the same place, which is that we think the government sucks.
Yeah, but you think so for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Let's be real here, right? That ain't the same
I try
position.
to find the middle ground where I can.
Well, that's very evolved of you. Joseph Ballin. John Bolton is probably the scariest motherfucker currently in the U.S. government. The only other appointment to NSA would probably be even scary would be Frank Gaffney. Jesus Christ, that guy's a fucking lunatic. Max Blumenthal actually met him in Washington in 2015. Bolton didn't know who he was. Max asked him about the 2016 primary. Bolton said he wanted a governor who didn't know much about foreign policy, quote unquote, and to serve as their national security advisor. He went on to talk about...
Can't help on the governor part.
Not a governor, but got you with don't know a fucking thing.
Can I just push back for 1 second? Not that John Bolton isn't terrifying, and I think that we very rightly spoke about him for an hour, but again, John Bolton, an advisor, Gina Haspel, Mike Pompeo.
Right. No, I agree.
Very terrifying. Running
personal torturers.
Massive government agencies. Yeah. And
John Bolton definitely not fit enough to personally torture people in Thailand. I think that is... Don't give me that. You don't abuse. Save your you should be ashamed for things that I actually should be ashamed of. That was actually okay. You're making me Bill Maher.
The only times I've done this
that
is
was a funny
abortion joke and torture joke.
It wasn't a torture joke. John Bolton's fitness was the focus of that joke. Come on. The first was an abortion joke. Second was about Bolton being totally out of shape. The first one was basically saying that abortion was an enhancement of my social life, which is an abortion joke. Attorney Andrew, Mike, I'm here to prompt your Pod Save America impressions. When we worked for a boss like President Obama, we were just thinking about the country and don't get me wrong, I disagree with Mitt Romney on things, but he was actually a super nice guy. And I just feel like Donald Trump's never watched The West Wing, and it really disturbs me.
I like that.
You like that?
That.
There's a lot more Pod Save. I got to get back into it. I used to do regular Pod Save America impressions. I'll hit you up on Friday.
I want to know. Can I just? There was a good tweet.
Yeah, tell me.
Just because you mentioned Mitt Romney,
yeah.
and this oddly enough came from Brian Beutler, who is the editor in chief of of the crooked media.
Yeah,
website.
Brian Breitler just like came over here, and we're just like, we used to work for like President Obama, like he was our boss, and just like you just learned a lot like working for him, and like it was amazing.
Brian is really super smart, so insightful. I think a great writer.
Never heard of him.
And so there was this tweet that said that like at a forum yesterday, Mitt Romney said that he's more right wing than Trump on immigration.
Goddamn right.
"Quote unquote, I'm also more of a hawk on immigration than even the president. My view is these DACA kids shouldn't all be allowed to stay in the country legally." So Brian just had a really good point.
Hello, this is Mitt Romney.
Oh my fucking God. Jesus. He said there's a never Trump line of revisionism that holds Mitt Romney up as an honorable guy who deserved to win the 2012 election, but was thwarted by unprincipled liberals making jokes about binders full of women. And he's like, here's the actual Mitt Romney. Just a reminder.
No, I mean, we do it regularly. Mitt Romney's trash. Kevin Williamson's going to the Atlantic. Yeah, that's fucking pathetic. We'll make more fun of that magician-looking guy soon. Goldberg was on Love It. Oh, Jeffrey Goldberg was on Love It or Leave It podcast on June 2017. There, Love It praised Goldberg as a quote-unquote mentor. That's great. Hit me with a Nation of Islam Obama saying, "Pod save America." Okay, I'll do that. Pod save America. No. Pod damn America. Allahu Akbar.
Have you seen Ali Gharib's like amazing trolling of Jeffrey Goldberg on Twitter?
He's still doing that? I feel like I saw it like 2 years ago.
Oh no, he still does it.
That's
all
amazing.
The time. Or am I confusing that with, because he did do some amazing trolling of also of Max Boot this week, but I think he also has some good stuff on Jeffrey Goldberg currently.
They're terrible. Is Max Boot
Do you ever have Ali on your show?
I used to have him on Majority Report. I actually, you know what? It's so funny. We were just messaging each other. He'll be on the show soon. Is he at The Intercept now?
Smart guy. Yeah, he's an editor at The
Intercept.
Yeah,
he's smart. I have fun. I remember. Yeah, we definitely. Thank you for that reminder. Mo Brains. Jesus Christ, Matt. What song did you play before the post game? I need to know.
It was Horrors, C with a C mixed with some Nixon tapes.
Pete W. Common. Love some of his stuff, but there are songs of his that are like groovy guidance counselor-esque. That's so true. Does Brooks know Old Droog? Similar to Nas in some ways, but few are, so that's a plus. Where do you stand on Pharaoh Monk? I don't know Pharaoh at all. And Droog I've heard of, but I couldn't comment on. Ryan from L.A. CPR would cause a gunshot victim to bleed out faster. It's for people whose heart has stopped because of their heart attack or drowning, and does not bring you back to life, but keeps you alive until paramedics arrive. So unless a homicidal high school student shows up with a big tub of water and spends 3 to 5 minutes holding his fellow students underwater, CPR isn't much help. I just realized years from now, when left is best is the national slogan for the ruling Socialist Party, no one will remember where it came from. One-line troll walking his dog with a Sharpie. Left is best comes from a young Trump supporter who vandalized a school, but he was trying a playground. And he was trying to set up, like, he wanted to make it look like a left wing,
Antifa.
Antifa did it. So he spray painted left is best, death to Trump. And Bernie 2020. And of course, in my mind, that turned into like death to Trump, Bernie 2020. Yeah, that's a good fucking left is best. Go fuck yourself.
Finally, the ground game.
Finally, the fucking ground game. Yeah, that's exactly what I want. I want public schools vandalized. Staten Island Mike, have you guys checked out Death of Stalin yet?
No. I have not yet, but it's on the list.
Yeah, I'm going to see that next week on vacation for sure. And the final IM of the postgame, Queerbait. Jesus Christ, it's getting so mass. Queerbait, dude, you fucking queerbait. That is the most self-revealing homophobic diss imaginable. My conservative friend just texted me this: Trump is out here banging porn stars, getting North Korea to surrender, cutting taxes, and keeping planes from crashing all the time. He's 100% getting re-elected. Signed, Leonard.
Oh, very funny.
He is out begging porn star, winning everything. He is always winning. North Korea get the deal. He'll win.
What if my father listens to this? You know, my father's a good dad and listens to.
But this is the Patreon part.
Oh, you're right. He's never going to pay for it.
Well, then fuck that. All right, then I'll make fun of him every single. I'll create a character out of him if he'll never become a patron. I send him a link to this podcast. Great fucking show tonight. Hashtag left is best. Well, finally, we'll see what Alona's father thinks. Alyona Minkovski.
I like left is best. I like the sound of that. I've always been like a, West Coast is the best coast.
Left is the best.
West is also left.
Fair enough. I've got some Kali.
What I'm talking about.
I do yoga. we need to water you up before you leave. Wait, okay. There's one more I am that came in. Jesus Christ, because this is a very male down. Quiston, banging porn stars is probably the first thing Trump has done that I can respect. All right, everybody. We're live Friday at 6 p.m. Thanks, Crystal Paco. Thank you, DJ Danarchy. Thank you, super producer Matt Leck, super producer David Slavic. Thank you to all patrons. Thank you to the Discord. Thank you, David Grishcom. And, of course, thank you, Alyona Minkovski.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure. I'll see you soon.
It's so fun. And thank you, Monique.
Hell yeah.
The only female caller I've ever heard while being on this show.
There's others. Don't.
Just saying.
Just saying. All right, females, call in. Thanks, everybody.